James Brakell from the 750 Motor Club Bikesports Championship. You're the man who kind of oversees this. What is the Bikesports all about?
Well, Bikesports is about sports racing cars, racing basically. We've got all different types, bike engine powered. We've got 3 to 4 classes. Yeah, it's a pretty competitive championship actually, so it's pretty good.
And they're very quick pieces of machinery as well.
Oh yeah. They've got all the downforce and the wings and big sticky tyres as well. So yeah, they're something else.
Now your season this year, it hasn't been bad at all. You finished in second, I think, in all Class B races. You've still got to push for that overall win though.
Yeah. I'm still yet to get an overall win, but I'm doing all right on points. Trying to defend my title from last year, which is proving to be pretty tricky. There's some really fast boys here this year, so just try and do my best.
Well, let's see how you get on today. Good luck.
Brilliant, thank you.
First race of the day for the Spire Sports Cars Bikesports Championship has Rob Weldon and John Paul Ivy on the front of the grid for an 18-minute plus 1 lap race. It gets underway now then, and it's a good start by John Paul Ivy from the outside of the front row of the grid, but there's contact further back, and it's Richard Stables in the 95 car that's come off worst of all, and I think everyone has just about missed him for any further contact, but it was a concertina effect, I think, that spun Richard Stables around. The hotelier from York is stationary on the track. It is Ivy though that leads as they cars go over that bump that's very noticeable in these sports cars. Through on the inside at the link goes Rob Weldon to take the lead away from Ivy. That looks like problems is that for James Brakell there in the number 25 car as they made their way through the link that time. But Richard Stables clambering out of his car is going no further. There's some damage to the rear of it, which he's inspecting now. The race has been stopped. We will have to get a restart. It's going to be a 15 minutes plus 1 lap race distance for the restart. We're going to have to do it though without Richard Stables and without James Brakell. I think was also involved in that schmozzle off the start line. 5-second board goes up then. We're all set for a slightly reduced race distance then. Lights out, away we go. Can John Paul Ivy make the best start again this time? He's got away well. Is he going to get into the lead of Rob Weldon this time as they sweep into Abbey? Yes, he is. Another great start there by John Paul Ivy in the Radical PR6. He's ahead of the Radical SR3 as they head down towards Village for the first time. It's going to be the bigger SR3 that drives around the outside there. Fantastic move from Rob Weldon, and I think he's made that move stick. Yes, he has, as they go over that little undulation once more and head into the link. Adrian Reynard there in third, and is that Tim Gray up to 4th position? If so, that's a great start because he started on the outside of row 5. Tim Gray, who's won races this season in the Spire. As we look at the number 81 car towards the back, that's Gordon Mellis in one of the new Radical SR1s. Leaders into the Vale then. It's Weldon leading, John Paul Ivy second. In third place it is Adrian Reynard in the inverter. In 4th it's Tim Gray, so he has made up good ground there. 6th place is made up off the start, admittedly helped because of the lack of Richard Stables and James Brakell on the grid for the restart. There's the Adrian Reynard car, a class structure based primarily on engine capacity but also on driving position as well, just adding a little bit of further complication. Is that Aaron Bailey there that was taking a rather strange line? I think he's got it all sorted out now. Those we watch the number 88 car, which is Richard Wise in the Spire GT3. Tim Gray climbing all over the back of Adrian Reynard now. He's having a look down the inside as they go into the left-hander at the Vale. It's a Class C car for Tim Gray. It's a 1 litre engine in that car. Adrian Reynard has 1.3 litres in the Reynard inverter. A bit more powerful, but Tim Gray, a very talented driver, can do great things. Oh, and what great things! He's sweeping alongside Adrian Reynard there, and he's through at Farm Curve. Well, how did he do that? Fantastic move by Tim Gray to get 3rd place away from the very experienced race car designer, Adrian Reynard. Of course, no mean racer in his own right in the past, Adrian Reynard. He's down to 4th position then. It's Rob Weldon leading. It's John Paul Ivy second, and John Paul Ivy's had 4 straight wins in Class B of the Championship coming into this meeting. Those were at Snetterton and Rockingham. He's the 4-man in the championship at the moment, which is looking a little bit disjointed now because the overall championship leader coming into this weekend, which is James Brakel, having a non-start here, so that's going to drop him back down. Drivers can drop their 2 worst scores at the end of the season. Brakel might well need to do that. As we watch Reynard there in 4th position, desperately trying to stick to the coattails of Tim Gray, who just takes that different line into the first corner, just running wide, using a little bit of the curb. That's perfectly allowed. Rob Weldon, now really developing that car this weekend, is the development driver for the Radical Sports Car Company. As Wise goes through there. Here's Tim Gray all over the back of number 39 John Paul Ivy, while the first 3 drivers on track are in 3 different classes. They've come out of the link, now heading down the Hanger Straight towards Stowe. And you can see on this straight, John Paul Ivy just able to get away a little bit from Tim Gray by only 2 or 3 car lengths. But I think we'll find that Gray is a bit quicker through the twisty stuff. And it's twisty stuff ahead now because they're down towards the Vale, left and then double right at Club Corner, and the gap's back down to less than a car length. And which way's Gray going to go here? He's going to go up the inside of John Paul Ivy, and the 2 of them are side by side now as they come onto the pit straight. John Paul Ivy runs wide, but he's got more power here, and he gets back ahead of Tim Gray now. Gray goes to the outside, using his special line again. Has to tuck back in behind John Paul Ivy, or does he though? We'll see if he's made that move stick in just a moment. It was where he pulled off a great move on Adrian Reynard a short time ago. That's the number 20 car. That's Danny Coker, just ahead of Richard Wise. Coker, one of the Class A drivers, and it's Aaron Bailey just ahead of both of them. And they are battling for, I think, 8th, 9th and 10th positions at the minute. Bailey just trying to make up a bit more ground again after an early moment for him. So Coker in that number 20 car. It's one of the Radical SR3 RS's. Big, powerful machine. Well, here is Rob Weldon on his final lap. He's about to lap that Danny Coker machine as they turn their way through Stowe Corner now. Now down towards the Vale. And Rob Weldon has pulled out a big lead on his rivals here. Only just making their way through Stowe Corner now. Weldon then, a one-off appearance really in the 750 Motor Club Spire Sports Car Bikesports Championship race. It's round 7 and Rob Weldon takes the win. He takes maximum points within Class A today. Who's going to be second? It is Tim Gray. It was a great move that meant that he got second away from John Paul Ivy. Look how he celebrates up against the pit wall there. 3rd place for John Paul Ivy as well, as we look now at the results. And we can see that it was a win for Rob Weldon by 10.32 seconds over Tim Gray. Another 5 seconds behind John Paul Ivy in 3rd. Adrian Reynard just falling off the pace a little bit towards the end. He was 4th ahead of Tim Porter and Aaron Bailey.
Rob, well done on the first victory in the Bikesports race. Nice to have you out to play with the championship. How does it all go for you?
Yeah, it was a great race, to be honest. We were here shaking the car down, doing a bit of setup work with it, and the team have done a great job with it, so really pleased. And obviously we've got an average start. I haven't done one for 10 years. You know, a bit of room for improvement there. Got back past JP at turn 3, and then got my head down to try and get a bit of a gap, and from there on it was just controlling it really, taking my time through the traffic, and it ended up perfect. So.
I imagine, like most people, the Silverstone International circuit is pretty new to you.
Yeah, first time I drove it was in qualifying this morning. So obviously I've driven most of it before, but the new link part, never done that before. It's definitely something a little bit different. Nice to drive a new configuration, but yeah, no, it's quite a good circuit.
Well, let's see if you can make it 2 out of 2 later on today.
Definitely the plan. We'll give it a go. Cheers.
Cheers, Rob. Tim, the Spire continues to go well in the hands of yourself, and a good second place here today at Silverstone.
Yeah, really good. Qualifying, not exactly to plan. It was wet. We not really got the wet setup fully sorted yet, but you know, it made it interesting for the race. 2 good restarts. Unfortunately, we had 1 red flag. Hopefully, they're okay. Second restart went like the first one really. I think it was up to 4th. Just sort of, I knew I had to get as far up as I could early on. Once I did that, me and Adrian Rayon had a great race. I think he might have got tripped up with some back markers. I took a lunge down the inside and got past some, and I think he might have got caught up behind them. So that gave me a little bit of a gap. I could then try and chase after JP. Managed to catch him up again. I think he might have got caught up by traffic, just which let me get on the back of him, and then great little race through Vale, and I could just pull away then after that. But yeah, Spire is absolutely fantastic car. It's the best car I've ever driven, and it's the kind of car you just cannot wait to get back in again. You just can't wait for the next race meeting or the next test. You just want to get in it and go. So yeah, absolute congratulations to them and thank you to them, and can't wait for race 2.
The first Spire Sports Cars Bikesports race early on today was won by Rob Weldon in the Radical SR3, ahead of Tim Gray in the Spire GT3 and John Paul Ivy in his Radical PR6, with all three of them also taking class wins. For this second race, it's Weldon on pole position ahead of John Paul Ivy, there the front row, Tim Porter and James Brakel on row 2, Aaron Bailey and Richard Stables on the third row of the grid. Red lights go on. And out they go. Good start further back from Adrian Reynard, number 29 in the Golf livery. He's slotted his car up the inside from row 5 of the grid, and he's up to second as they turn their way into Abbey for the first time. Great start there by Adrian Reynard, but an even better one, if you like, from Rob Weldon. He didn't make good starts earlier on today. We had 2 starts, a restart we needed for the earlier Bike Sports race. Didn't get away well in either of those, but he's done so here and leads the way. But Adrian Reynard from 9th to 2nd by the first corner. Wonderful getaway from him. I'm going to see a thinkful complement of cars very nearly back out there. We've not got Ian Cumming, we've not got Shane Porter, but good to see James Brakel and Richard Stables, both of them absentees earlier on after damage and a start line schmozzle on the first start. Cars making their way down towards Stowe Corner for the first time. It's Weldon that's leading. In second place is Adrian Reynard. In third place John Paul Ivy, and up from 7th to 4th has gone Tim Gray in the Spire GT3. As we look at a couple more Spires there of Richard Wise, number 88, and John Cutmore, number 3. Of course, it's Spire that sponsored this Bike Sports Championship this year. There's one of them, Tim Gray, in 4th position, last year's RGB champion, of course, who won all of the races in that championship last year. Has an outing on one occasion at Anglesey in the Bike Sports as well, took a win there too. Good to see Brakel back out. We saw a brief glimpse of him there in car number 25. He was the championship lead coming into this weekend, but he's had to concede the lead now to Tim Gray because of his non-participation earlier on. Tim Gray adding a 6th class win from 7 races this season. He's won every race that he's finished as far as Class C is concerned. The class structure determined not only by engine capacity but also by driving position as well, whether the car's got a centralised driving position or a more traditional offset. There's the offset driving position for Adrian Reynard, but you can see the car behind him, the white and blue car number 39 of John Paul Ivy, that has got a centralised driving position. And here comes Tim Gray as the back end just stepped out there on John Paul Ivy's car. That's given Tim Gray the run on him. Is he going to be able to stay with him up the international pit straight? No, he's not, because the Radical PR6 of John Paul Ivy, that bit more powerful, that bit quicker in a straight line, and so Tim Gray just has to settle back in behind him again. Gray excellent through the corners though, and that's where he'll make up his time. So it's Weldon leading still, then Reynard second as they go for that quite pronounced yump as they go back onto the Grand Prix circuit, onto the Hangar Straight, which on this configuration actually is even longer than on the Grand Prix track. They just join it that little bit earlier. Towards Stowe Corner then, it's Reynard second, John Paul Ivy third, and Tim Gray in 4th. Had a great fight, these three, in the early laps of the first race, and it looks like they're repeating it here. Out of Stowe, down towards the Vale they go. John Paul Ivy positioning his car on the inside line. Is he going to go through ahead of Adrian Reynard? Yes, he is. Good move that by John Paul Ivy. but he runs quite wide through the second element of the corner, and Reynard can come straight back at him and get P2 back away. So that was a very short-lived second position for John Paul Ivy there. Reynard's got it back now. They turn their way into Abbey, the first corner of a new lap. Tim Gray in close attendance as well in the Spire. Reynard, of course, the renowned race car designer, everything from Formula Ford 1600s upwards. And there's still a good number of Reynard 89 FFs going very well indeed in club racing. And coming from his pen. There you can see how big Rob Weldon's lead is already. The development driver for Radical putting some more miles on that car here this weekend on the fabulous 1.85 mile Silverstone International circuit. Meanwhile, it's the battle for second that we're watching, which is still Reynard, Ivy and Tim Gray. John Paul Ivy has been the form man of late, but he's run wide there, and that's given Gray the run on him as they head down towards the Vale. Gray on the outside line though, they go wheel to wheel through the left-hander. Gray has the inside line for Club, and he's done it, he's made it work, he's gone up to third position. And all of that because John Paul Ivy, who's won 4 Class B races on the bounce coming into this weekend, made a mistake up at Stowe Corner. Here comes Weldon then, car number 7, out on his own. He's making this look very easy indeed. Charles Harvey Kelly in car number 58 coming towards the Kent-based driver, a regular at Lytton Hill, and they're going through his number 9, Sean Mellors, the East Grinstead man in his Radical SR3. John Paul Ivy trying to get third place back away from Tim Gray at Stowe Corner, and he's done it. There's not much that Gray could do there, lacking, relatively speaking, in power, and Gray down the straights just able to ease clear, but Gray coming back at him now. He goes to the outside line. It'll give him the inside line for Club Corner. No, he goes to the outside again. Now to the inside once more for the second element of Club Corner, and he goes through to take third place away from John Paul Ivy. Well, that's very good driving from Tim Gray. Number 26 comes towards us. That's Brent Hill, shortly to be lapped by the race leader Rob Weldon. Also in there is one of the new Radical SR1s for number 81 Gordon Mellis. But suddenly Weldon makes very short work of both of them. Onto the hanger straight he goes now. Brent Hill, number 26 from Lydney in Gloucestershire, actually lying second place behind Lewis Plato in the Class A Championship. That's due to some consistent results. Meanwhile, the battle for second, third and fourth coming back towards us. Where's John Paul Ivy? Oh, there he is. Briefly, I couldn't see him. He was hiding behind Adrian Reynard's car, and I don't think Adrian saw him, in fact, because through on the inside at Stowe Corner has gone John Paul Ivy. Oliver Cox from Nottingham, car number 57, is about to be lapped by the race leader. Cox in the Radical SR4, one of the older cars now from the Peterborough manufacturer that's enjoyed so much success in the last 10 years or so. I think now more than 1,000 Radicals have been built in all. Absolutely phenomenal number. Charles Harvey Kelly doing battle there with the number 9 car of Sean Mellors. He's just outside the top 6. Having a good fight here. Aaron Bailey involved with Richard Stables there as they run down towards the Vale. Turning their way now through the right-hander at Club Corner. Good to see Stables back there again. He's got ahead of Bailey there. Stables ruled out of the first race following damage in a start line incident. Been a regular supporter of Bikesports for some years. As a spinner there is Brent Hill. His arm straight in the air to let following drivers know that he was having a moment. Probably quite well aware of that. Now what he needs to do is find a gap in the traffic to try and rejoin. He thought there was one there. Now he's found one, and Brent Hill, who's towards the back of the field, is able to rejoin in his SR3. Well, this is a good little fight now. You've got Charles Harvey Kelly, you've got the 38 car of Gary Patterson from Abingdon, and you've got number 9, which is Sean Mellors, also there. So a 3-car fight here, just outside the top 6. Still a little bit of time left in this race for this battle to shake out. Mellors at the head of the group for the moment. It's Radicals that really do dominate the Bikesports grid these days. We do have the inverter out there of Adrian Reynard, also the Spires, of course. We don't have the speeds of Ian coming on the grid for this one, but he was out in the earlier race. So Mellors, number 9, just ahead of Harvey Kelly at the moment. And right behind them as well is that 38 car, which is Gary Patterson. Making their way down towards the link. You can see the slippery surface flag is out there in the background, held by the marshals. So there could have been some fluid spilt onto the track, maybe some oil or some fuel. Could also be used for light debris as well, maybe a piece of bodywork or something like that. Here comes this battle up towards Stowe Corner then. Charles Harvey Kelly it is in the yellow and black car as Mellors runs wide but maintains his position on the way down from Stowe to the Vale. No change in the order there, as that's Richard Wise, number 88, about to be lapped by the race leader. And Wise is there in, I think, 9th position at the moment. And here's, a spin, and that's number 33, which is Richard Hardy in his Radical SR3. Another of the Abingdon-based drivers. Gets the car pointing back in the right direction again, which I'm pleased to see. Oh, and another moment! And that's Gary Patterson in the sister car. Almost exactly the same time. He has a little spin as well and rejoins. Final lap then for the race leader, car number 7, Rob Weldon, making his way down towards the link for the final time. He's already nearly halfway around this final lap. He's dominated proceedings as we now have 2 retirements up there. That's Charlie Meisen, car number 11, that's joined Brent Hill there earlier on in the race. We lost Adrian Reynard and also Danny Coker as well. As here's this fight still going on for 2nd and 3rd position right to the end as the checkered flag for the 2nd time today is taken by Rob Weldon in round 8 of the Spire Sports Cars Bikesports Championship, and just it's going to be 2nd place for John Paul Ivy. 0.3 of a second the gap between Ivy and Tim Gray, who took 3rd in the Class C win yet again. But Rob Weldon's victory margin was very nearly 8 seconds. He completed the race at an average of more than 100 miles an hour. He got the fastest lap too. 105.16 is 102.21 miles per hour.
Rob, race victory in race number 2 as well as race number 1, and not the hardest of days for you, but still nice to pick up the wins.
Oh yeah, it's been a great day for us. As I said, the 750 Motor Club paddock's a great place to be, really friendly atmosphere, and the racing's good. You know, for once I didn't mess the start up, which made my life a lot easier. Went and tried to chase some lap times for a bit until there's a bit of oil got spread around the circuit, but then we just controlled the gap and brought it back. So yeah, absolutely ideal, good day.
You may not have had to battle with the guys around you, but there's always traffic to deal with, and that can sometimes be a bigger problem.
Oh yeah, the traffic is, you're always being cautious because there's such a varying level here, and it's so you do have to be very cautious. You can lose 5 seconds one lap on very easily just by following another car and being overly cautious, which you know is a fine line. But no, as I said, we brought it back in one bit, and that's the most important.
It is indeed. Well done, Rob, on 2 well-deserved victories here today at Silverstone.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
Tim Gray heads John Paul Ivy by 3 points as the Bikesports Championship heads to Donington Park for the penultimate meeting of the 750 Motor Club season.